Hello, beautiful souls. It's Josie here from Lily Leaf 11. I'm excited today. I have Daniel, the creator of the ConsciouzScan method, which I just met with Daniel a couple of days ago, and I did the ConsciouzScan, and it was so amazing that, yeah, I have to share it with you guys. So welcome. Hello. Hi, Daniel.
Thank you so much, Josie, and for having me.
Now, so Daniel, so you are from Holland, but you're in the Philippines at the moment.
Yeah, that's correct. We moved here about 10 days ago. I'm
Oh,
a family with 7 children,
oh,
so we are a big family. We first lived 2 years in Spain, before that in the Netherlands. Yeah, so it was a big move.
wow, I didn't realize he had 7 children. Wow. That is impressive. I love that. Yeah, so no, we did this, the ConsciouzScan with you, so we'll have a talk about that soon, but I was just wondering, was there a point in your life that you had like a huge kind of, some people have like a near death experience, OBE, or a massive spiritual awakening, or were you born intuitive, or, have you had little, I mean, we're all still obviously awakening and expanding our awareness, but is there something that really stands out for you?
Yeah, I think two things. I was born with what they call on the helmet on. I don't know if
Ah,
there's an English impression, but then you have a kind of yeah, it looks like a helmet on your head, and it appears that people like Nostradamus or clairvoyant people, yeah, tend to have that. Is that it could be like clairvoyant properties. I have not experienced that yet so far, but I have experienced a deep, deep, deep spiritual interest. And there was one day, then I was very busy always in my head. I'm a business economist. I studied on the Erasmus University at that time, and I learned transcendental meditation. I was not very good at it in the beginning because I was so busy in my head, and I was like a walking head. If you would draw me, a big head with a small body, no body consciousness. And okay, so I was practicing this meditation one day and was sitting on my couch in Rotterdam. And then suddenly I fell into such a deep state of bliss, which I've never experienced before, like a total oneness. And then a face appeared in front of me with a gray beard and with a brown, yeah, kind of shawl. And it was like an Indian looking person, brown eyes, very friendly, totally peaceful, blissful. And I was in this really kind of enlightened state, which I've never experienced before because I was not good at meditation at all. But it happened. And then about a month later, I went to yoga class because I did that also to quiet myself down. And I was a little bit late. And then in the corner of the yoga class, I was making a twist. I saw a small table with a picture of this person, which appeared on my meditation. And then I asked the yoga teacher, who is this person? He appeared in my meditation. And then he went like, oh, wow, this is an enlightened teacher, master from India. I said, oh, okay, wow, that's interesting. And then a month later, that master came to the Netherlands. And then so I was sat in front of him, and then he said, "Yeah, we have this relationship from previous lives, master disciple relationship, and this lifetime actually is kind of to realize, to finish it, to get to a deep state of realization." So I think that changed everything for me, and because then I went on a very deep spiritual path.
wow, that story is amazing. I love that. I didn't expect you to have that kind of experience. That's awesome. Yeah, because you seem to merge both worlds, which I love. Because you started so well, you still do. You have the elite performance people. So you've worked with so many elites. So it's not just you haven't just been in the spiritual space or we still call the woo woo. You've put that, you back the science behind it as well and really made a difference. So So what type of people have you worked with? You were explaining before, so soccer players, so many people, yeah.
Yeah, in the US, there's the World Championship soccer going on right now. Eh?
Yeah.
And so in the Netherlands, you have, for example, PSV, which is one of the top three clubs, like it would be like Manchester City or Liverpool or Man United in England. And so I've worked 4 years with them with this ConsciouzScan method for mental resilience, to build a strong mental resilience. So in the scan, I could see them with, for example, the brain or autonomic nervous system, or where they will lose energy or could step up the mental game. And so by doing that, we were Dutch champion 3 times in a row. And then also did it with another top three club, AZ in the Netherlands. And there we also won the cup. And I applied this technique in large corporations. Yeah, so I see myself kind of maybe like a spiritual warrior or marine, which goes into these big companies and to create some consciousness over there.
I love that. It's so important at the moment, isn't it? That's what we
Yeah,
really want, is just to merge that together so that we can drop the woo woo, and it becomes normal. But to be honest with you, I think it was before 2020 when I mentioned the word meditation. I actually felt really uncomfortable and really awkward, and I thought people would judge me talking about meditation because it was weird. It was different for us, like obviously not all of the world, but certain parts of the world. Whereas now you can mention meditation, you can talk about all of this stuff, and it makes sense to people now, which is great. So obviously, people like you going into the mainstream has really shifted the consciousness because, yeah, that's what we needed, I think. If we just stayed in I would just like to stay in my own little, energy bubble. But yeah, I love that you really took that step and just got out there. And I'm sure not everybody believed you straight away, but maybe we could explain, yeah, if you could explain a little bit about how the conscious scan works. Because
yeah,
everyone's probably
sure.
wondering, what is it?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely will come to that. And just to add to your first point, like big corporations, like for example, Accenture and PricewaterhouseCoopers, they, from the strategic level, also define the spiritual level. So they're talking about physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual now. It's amazing, but accountants and this big consultants. So that's exactly what you were saying is, and it's like mindfulness is part of their practice. To combat stress, for example, or leave absence. So it's really, really interesting how this, and like 20 years ago when I started in this field, we really had to break this like an icebreaker, like I think yourself well. So I think all, let's say, the incarnates of certain dimensions which have come here to help the planet raising consciousness did a great job, and of course the frequencies itself helped a lot. Yeah, and so what the conscious scan actually was is a technology which was developed first for elite forces in the U.S. Army by Stanford Medical, but it was during the Cold World War, the Cold War, between Russia and or USSR at that time and the USA. And there was a lot of espionage and counter-espionage. And then the Russians made this technology, developed it further for their cosmonauts, actually, because it's very expensive to get a cosmonaut out of space with, for example, a liver disease or an ulcer. So they wanted to develop a technology which could already detect a bioenergy field if change would happen before they could materialize into a disease. And yeah, the Russians have a very unique position, because half of them is directed to Western Europe, but the other half of the face is directed to the east, to China, India. And so they have best of both worlds, and that's why they win so many Nobel prizes on integrative medicine or in the field of medicine, because they have the tendency to approach health from a holistic point of view. And that's exactly what he did with the cosmonauts, because they realized we don't only have a physical body, which we can see and feel, but we also have an ethereal body, which you, for example, use in acupuncture, and then you can feel the electricity. Or we have an emotional body, where all emotions and feelings are stored. We have an intellectual body where all of our imprints are stored and our convictions and beliefs. And then we have the astral body. When you fall asleep, you really fall in that astral field and you can travel in your dreams to the moon and the sun and everywhere, other dimensions, because that astral field isn't part of us. And then you have the ananda field. It's the pure bliss field. For example, when you experience an orgasm, you go directly to that field of bliss. And then you have the causal field that you are one with everything. And that's the field I experienced when this master appeared in my meditation. So altogether, this is your bioenergy field. And we are all made of energy and information. And that's also quantum in the quantum physical world. That's quite known now. We are energy and information. And so they developed this technology so that they could detect disbalances in very early stage. And well, after the walls went down in Russia, it came to Germany. And the Germans developed it even further. They also medically certified it in Europe. And that's a technology I work with. So actually, it's a German technology now. And my mission is to contribute strongly to global healing, awakening, and well-being with this ConsciouzScan method.
Mm. Wow. I mean, yeah, that's amazing. I love how you explain all the, like, I mean, we are so complex. And I think that's what I really enjoyed about the conscious scan as well, that it wasn't just, it wasn't just physical. You were looking at more the root causes as well for things in other layers of us, rather than, I don't want to say negative things about the doctors, because doctors have been trying a lot. But you're looking at so many deeper levels. And I've often found if I don't know what to do, sometimes I'll just look up the spiritual reason for why something is happening. Like it came up in my scan of, having hay fever, or we're saying, is it rhinitis or rhinitis? Um, and it was so fascinating to me that you were going into, like, the scan was picking that up, but you also had other ideas of why it was happening, and to tune into, the emotional body, and all fields of energy and beyond. And I love that, because I think sometimes we just don't go to the root cause. And so the conscious scan seems to be going through all the levels to get to that root cause. Because you can just, for years, people are suffering, or they're, feeling sick, or they've got illness, or they're depressed, or they've got something going on, but yeah, they can't quite figure it out. So yeah, the scan was, yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, thanks so much. And for those who are looking into it, it's conscious with a Z. Yeah, it's a playful element, so it's conscious scan with a Z. And yes, it's about making you conscious of all the patterns. And what I find particularly when I discovered this for the first time intriguing is that we can scan back into the prenatal psycho-emotional imprints, like which were there in the womb. So let's say there was this woman who was pregnant from a certain child, and then her husband was seeing somebody else who was cheating on her, and she found out and during her pregnancy. And then she really feels like, I'm not good enough. He's seeing someone else. And she really gets her self image, her self worth really down, really on a very low level. This gets an epigenetic imprint on the child in the womb. Of course, maybe the model is a very good tennis player. She also has all kind of positive imprints, but especially those negative, the positive imprints don't bring you out of balance. But let's say fast forward 30 years later, this boy has become a man and he is a consultant. and he's going for a pitch with 3 other consulting firms, like for $1 million deal. And when he's on, it's his turn. He feels super nervous and he feels uncertain and he doesn't know why, because the tension brings him in this very old pattern of not being good enough, which he has not transformed yet because he's not conscious about it. And people will sense it. And let's say the other two presenters are very confident and cheerful and they just enjoy the moment and they also have good content, and they are chosen for one reason or the other. So to make that conscious, this imprint, and we can measure it back to the womb, but also every year when significant emotional imprints are there, it gets literally like a stamp in your energy field, and we can just measure it by the frequencies, and it's all mathematics. So there's a huge database with all these psycho-emotional imprints. We measure you. That's a frequency, and then it's called a comparative analysis, spectrography, where you just compare mathematically graphs, and then you make a very, very complicated calculation. And you say with a 95% probability, this is a person who deep down doesn't feel enough. And then you can make it conscious to the person and learn to transform it step by step, every day 1% better and more confident. And of course, it goes 2 steps ahead or 1 step back. And that's what I really love about growth in conscious, and that we have this technology which can make it visual and which we can measure in time on a very precise level, even until the DNA level. That makes it for also left brain people very accessible.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's just so thorough because you even include foods, superfoods and foods that might not be aligning to your body at the moment. It also had crystals, which I loved. Mine was carnelian and amber at the moment. So I was thinking, God, I've got crystals everywhere, but I think I actually don't have a carnelian at the moment. So I need to get one of those. And you also you sent me an audio file as well for, like mental fatigue, which that was really, that's really helpful as well. So it's just, there was so much that went into it. It was just fascinating. Like every organ was broken down into, what was going on. And I don't know, sometimes I don't know if people, they don't know fully how it works, but all I did was send you a photo, a selfie of myself. And I don't know if
Exactly.
everyone, like people watching or listening to this podcast would understand quantum entanglement, but how do you tell the mainstream how that selfie turns out into all of that?
Yeah, yeah, that's a very, very good question, you see. Well, actually, we can measure in 3 ways with this ConsciouzScan method. The first is when a person would visit you physically. We put on a physical biophoton trigger sensor. It looks like a headphone, and it sends light frequencies into the body. Because science has found out, as we are sitting here now, trillions of processes are going on in our body, trillions. So they couldn't explain that with the speed of the blood flow. Even they couldn't explain it with the speed of the neural system or of our nervous system. It's fast, but it's not fast enough to explain trillions of processes. And then you had this German professor, Fritz Albert Popp, and he discovered the phenomenon of biophotons. That every cell sends and receives light frequencies. And when a cell is diseased, it screams for attention. Let's say in an extreme, when a cell is cancerous, for example, it makes a lot of noise. It screams for help, actually, and it sends a lot of it loses a lot of information and energy, and you can measure that loss of energy also, or when it's imbalanced, it doesn't emit so much loss of energy and light, and this has all certain frequencies. And so this you can measure, and when you send these biophotons, your body reacts like when somebody pushes you, you pushes back. So, for example, the liver gets measured it gets 4.9 hertz. That's the frequency of the liver. And when the liver is balanced, it sends about the same frequency back. But let's say somebody drinks a lot of alcohol or has a party and he drank like 3 whiskey colas and 6 beers, and I will scan him. And then the liver is in high stress because alcohol is very, very stressful for the liver. So then the liver is in a state of high entropy. And so everything has a natural loss of energy and information. So when you don't do maintenance to your house, 1,000 years it will become like a ruin. And same for the liver. Because then it loses a lot of balance and structure, and we can measure that because of the alcohol in this certain stage. And so you can measure the whole body physically, but you can do exactly the same with a piece of hair or nail. And we put this in this cell analysis box, which is totally medically certified. And now you see there's a photo in it, but you can also put like hair or nail in it. Then it's medically certified, and with a picture is quite intriguing.
Mm.
Like in when the Indians in North America met people who wanted to take a picture of them with these huge big cameras, they tend to run away because somewhere in them was afraid that their soul would be taken. And the native North American, and in a way they were right. No, their soul won't be taken, but the information, yes, would be taken, because the information of all these subtle layers, the ethereal body, the emotional body, the intellectual, the astral, and then the causal body, the whole bioenergy field is recorded as soon as you take a picture of yourself. All information is there. And that's exactly the same quantum entanglement as a piece of hair. And so when you have a piece of hair, and you are like, for example, now in New Zealand. I was in the Philippines when I scanned you. I could also be in the Netherlands or Spain because I scan people from all over the world. It doesn't matter at all. Because in quantum entanglement, when two parts have ever been attached to each other, they stay attached from each other, no matter the distance. That's what they call non-locality. So distance is absolutely non-relevant in quantum physics, as isn't time. So time is relevant, and distance is not relevant. And all information is literally pictured in a picture. So when we put your picture in the cell analysis box, then I do need additional data like your address, like your name, blood tube, and especially also your birth date. And because the technology benchmarks on age, on gender, on blood group, and etc. And then you have an unbelievably accurate scan. A photo is works very well. That's why 95%, 95% of my clients choose to send a photo. They might also send a piece of hair or nail. It's up to them. But because it's so much easier just to take a selfie, send it by email, I print it out, put it in the cell analysis box, and we're done. But if people might be skeptical and think, yeah, but I want a physical substance, then they're totally okay to do that. It costs only a little bit more effort because you have to go to the postal office and send it to me. But that's totally fine as well.
Yeah, it totally makes sense now. I love this because I've been studying quantum physics for
Oh,
quite some
wow.
time,
Yeah.
and Dr. Bruce Lipton with epigenetics and all of these incredible, inspiring people out there. It's just they've made sense of the woo woo.
Yeah.
And people
Yeah.
like you, it's like, oh, it makes total sense. And I love that. I think sometimes that just the human we've been taught, I don't know if it was our education, we've been taught that we have to make sense of something in the physical world. And so, the quantum entanglement really explains how this process is happening. So, sometimes as humans, we want it to be legit. We're like, okay, we need to really see how this is happening. But so it also comes up with, the superfoods and unsuitable foods. So is that the same kind of method when it's kind of scanning scanning what is working for you and what's not at the moment, what your body needs more of and less of.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I love also what you were saying about the woohoo. What generally is, and then I will come to the nutrition. What generally is the case with woohoo is that non-understood complexity. It's yet complexity we haven't found because in the end, Einstein says the whole language of the universe is mathematics. Energy is mathematics, frequency, information, spectrum, everything is mathematics. And he also said in the end, physics end up in metaphysics. So if we go from a material level, what we can see now, a face, and we take a piece of the skin, and we scan deeper. We take a cell, we scan deeper. We go to the atoms or to the nanos or to the quarks. In the end, you end up with the quantum field, which is the unified field of all possibilities. Which in the end we are infinite consciousness. We identify as Josie or Daniel, but in the end we are infinite consciousness, and it's all laws, universal laws, mathematical laws. And so when something is woohoo, because scanning of a picture, or what other woohoo. For example, a dog sees a spirit in the house which we can see, we think is woohoo. It isn't. It's just another frequency level, which the dog can perceive, we cannot. Or maybe you have certain measuring devices later which can perceive that very precisely. It's not woohoo, it's non-understood complexity. And so the most important thing is to have I think, is to have a growth mindset, an open mindset, which I think your viewers have big time, and you yourself, I think myself as well, so that you can everything, give a chance to everything critically. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with being skeptically. I'm skeptical, but I'm open. And so I'm looking for things and how they work and how could it work. So I'm very eager to learn. And then you can beat the woo, and then it becomes just another level of rational thinking. And because now you know the laws behind it. And oh yeah, of course, on a more subtle level, it works like this or it works like that. And so same with nutrition. So, for example, the trainer of PSV really told me, Daniel, you've helped us so much with your ConsciouzScan. It's amazing because, for example, nutrition is very important for top sports people. And let's say you have a game, and it's a 1-1 draw, and it's a knockout game, like now in the World Cup, World Championship soccer. Then you get an additional 30 minutes. People get cramp in their muscles. They get really tired. And so nutrition is so important to be able, for example, to get that last sprint, and that you can give this last shot on goal, or maybe take a penalty in a right focused way. And that's what he loved so much also about ConsciouzScan, that we can calculate nutrition on a very personalized 100% level. Which foods are suitable, which are neutral, which are unsuitable, what are food sensitivities. For example, a player might be sensitive for eggs and he might eat an egg every day. Well, this will take a lot of energy from his stomach and in the end from his muscles and from his skeleton. So he won't move so fast. His balance will be less. And you want a player like a Formula One diet, Formula One fuel. And so that's what we can provide people with this ConsciouzScan on a nutritional level. We can also see, hey, there's a lack of magnesium, or let's say there's a lack of lycopene, or whatever. On a very level, we can also see, for example, which amino acids are lacking, which are building stones of proteins. And yeah, so that's what I love for myself as well, for my kids, for everybody, also to calculate this nutrition
Mm.
personalized.
Yeah, it's so helpful, honestly. I've always dreamed of this too. I mean, for years, I've thought this would be something so amazing to help everybody, to have something that can scan your whole entire body, including the auric field, including all of everything you've explained. I've always dreamed and thought it would just be really beneficial to humanity. And then, I was tuning into actually a kind of a galactic mothership, and I saw a scanner that was scanning people's or beings' kind of, bodies to see where they were lacking or if they'd eaten too much, like something that wasn't really, it was affecting them, it wasn't really aligned to their frequency. I saw this a while ago, and then now seeing you, and I'm thinking, wow, this actually exists. I've I've seen this in my dreams, and I thought this is brilliant, and I'm so glad to see that it is here. It is in the world right now. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and wow, so beautiful that you saw that in your dream.
Mm.
And you hear a lot now also in the more like the spiritual scenes about the medbeds. Have you heard about the
Oh
medbeds?
yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so I think, and there was on Gaia, which is kind of a. Do you know Gaia? It's kind of
yeah. I'm a
spiritual
Gaia ambassador.
TV.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
So there was in the Cosmic Disclosure series, there was a person called Corey Good,
yes.
and he said he experienced like he went over to other planets and he saw other alien races. And then when he went back from his mission, if it's true or not, everybody
Yeah.
can
Oh
decide
no,
for
I
themselves.
believe it
But
because I've seen it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just yeah. Oh yeah, that's great. But I'm just saying what he told. And then when he came back, he had to go in this medbed, and
Mm.
then everything would be rebalanced again
Oh,
with frequencies. And I think that ConsciouzScan is because it was developed with a billion and billions of investments by the Americans and the Russians, and in the end the Germans. It is kind of a preliminary step before these medbeds. And so now we scan in this way, but later I think maybe it could like take 10 years, maybe 20 years, I don't know, maybe 5 years. And then when you have a disease, you step into this medbed and everything gets calculated and the frequency sounds and this is this balance. You get the healing frequency on that level with biophotons and there with this audio frequency and you step out of it after 1 hour and you feel like reborn. And that's exactly a little bit what we are doing now already. And it's already available now with ConsciouzScan because all these frequencies are already stored in this huge database based on 50 years of research. And of course, a lot of it is secret. It's still in the Kremlin behind big doors. And so there are much more applications I think we are not aware of, same as in the Black Op projects in the US, for example. So I think we already know about the iPhone 25 is somewhere known, and we only know the iPhone 17 right now. And so technology is much further ahead as generally is being get out into the public with these all these black op projects, which yeah cost like millions and millions of dollars.
yeah. Well, that's why I'm so pleased to see, people like you out there because it shows that the technology has got out to, I don't know what you call it. Like it's not just. I mean, you're saying elite sports, but it's there's not just that 1% of the world taking all that technology. You're sharing it with everybody. So I love that. It's super exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I used to, my clients used to be like 95% elite sports and
Yeah.
corporations.
Yeah.
I like do this big and for especially for well-being purposes, let's say with Philips or what I just mentioned with Accenture, PricewaterhouseCoopers, just to get the employees the best version of themselves. Also work, for example, with companies where people are sick and ill, and then with the conscious scan method and we bring them back to their work much faster and also much more inspired because we help these employees to get into their purpose, into their why, or what they in Japan call your ikigai, your reason for being. Because many people aren't following their hearts, and that's why they burn out. And the Japanese concept of ikigai is that you do something that you really love. And this is already where it goes wrong so many times. And that people go to their work 8 hours a day, maybe 10 hours a day, and they don't really love their work. They do it for the mortgage, they do it for the rent, and it's totally understandable. Because yeah, survival is a reality. But it's so sad at the same time, because I'm really convinced if you really push through and go for what you really love, your frequency gets much higher. And then the second part is that you really need to be good at what you love.
Mm.
But that will happen automatically, but because you love what you're doing. So you're diving into podcasts like this, or you're reading books or courses because you love it. It's your passion, it's your ikigai, it's your reason for being, it's your dharma, it's your mission, it's why you came here for. So it's an infinite frequency which pushes to everything. And then of course you also have to be paid by it. And then the world has to need it. Otherwise, you feel like, now, what am I doing here? So, and then you are stepping in your ikigai, in your reason for being. And that's what I call never working again. That doesn't mean that you don't put effort, but it doesn't feel like effort, because it's what's your blueprint. And so that's what we also do in these companies. Like when we help people coming back to their work, and sometimes, yes, they have to leave the company to get better or to get in the authentic self. And we guide them to, for example, become an entrepreneur. And they generally also get a budget for that. Or they get into another position, or the current position will be more aligned with who they are with their core, because in the end the corporation profits from a person who has awakened a fuller potential. And because then in the end you have a happier personal, happier employee, happier clients, and so on. And so 95% of me was corporations and lease work, but now I think like it's 50-50. I really love to work now with private people, just somebody who wants to get a better version of themselves, or feels not very well at the moment, or is tired, or has a certain complaint, and then we can look, how can we help this person. I don't work as a doctor. I'm a vitality coach, a well-being coach, a mental coach. So I work from that place, but the technology can see almost everything. So I do, yeah, use the findings of technology. But yeah, that's what I love to do now. And so I'm totally free. I'm in the Philippines now. I work online. And that's why I also certify coaches, and like coaches who are interested, like vitality coaches, mental coaches, well-being coaches, naturopathic doctors, who want to work with this technology. Then I train them, and so they can become a certified ConsciouzScan coach, and they can just work from all over the world. And that's what I'm doing. I'm totally free. Uh, that's why I could move to the Philippines. And I think this is kind of the new time where internet connects everything, and a feeling of freedom belongs generally also to like rebel souls, which at least to me as well.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I love that. That's incredible. Yeah. I mean, it would be nice if all the doctors had this as well, but but yeah, it's nice to have that you're sharing it around the world with coaches and others. So yeah, that's so incredible. So you were telling me, you were giving me some tips, and some practices as well, which were really helpful. You were mentioning Shavasana, which I love. I do yoga as well. You're a yoga teacher, aren't you, as well? Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
that's
that.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were saying I mean, I don't know, we should change the name of corpse pose. I don't know if corpse pose. If nobody knows corpse pose, Shavasana, you're lying comfortably on the floor. You were saying it's better to do it on the floor rather than do it in bed. And you're saying 10 minutes a day is really beneficial. So have you got, are there any other tools that you really recommend for people? Just, the nervous systems are crazy at the moment, overwhelm. Yeah, what works for you?
Yeah. So, and by the way, in Germany and the Netherlands, more and more doctors are working with this technology.
Oh,
So that's a good
oh,
development.
good.
Yeah, because all the pathologies are also in this technology and psychopathologies. Yeah. So, for example, in your case, there was some tension in the arteries, and we see that a lot more in with Western people who have busy jobs, children, a lot of pressure, financial pressure going on, and then this pressure wave from the heart, which travels all to the body, and then because the mental process go on, you get a high pressure in the arteries. And then indeed, so I also customize my advices. So in this case, then indeed the corpse pose helps a lot. And because then you release all the tension. And the corpse pose is the name is because a corpse doesn't think,
True.
doesn't feel, it doesn't do anything, doesn't worry anymore, whatever. So it just lays flat on the floor and everything gets released. So you be as released and surrendered as a corpse. Like the tongue is relaxed, the eyes are relaxed, the skin relaxes, all muscles become soft to the floor, the skeleton becomes soft to the floor. And so that you only stays is a little bit consciousness, but even that you drop, and then everything gets in a very smooth and relaxed order, and your heart gets in a coherent state, and everything gets replenished. And that's a very good thing to get the pressure out of the arteries. But it's totally personalized. Somebody else might have stress in the autonomic nervous system. And then, for example, in heart coherence breathing, heart focused breathing could be very good. Yesterday, I had a person who had unbelievably yeah, it was not a psychosis, but he had done some ayahuasca a few times, which I personally love because I've done ayahuasca. It was one of the most enlightening experiences for me personally. But it could also for him. He also had one bad trip, and then afterwards he also drank a lot of alcohol,
Yeah.
and that's of course a bad situation. And so his because of he thinks now of the alcohol later that his brain came into this stage where he experienced a lot of fear. And and of course, when you are in your mind, you are alone in your mind. And when you're on an astral plane, it can be fearful because it's unknown. And then he is in this lot of fear. So I advised him, for example, the Hare Krishna mantra. If you're really in a dark place, and then I have found that chanting mantras, Sanskrit mantras, are very, very helpful. And I think one of the highest, which helps me personally, but everybody has to find out for themselves, is the Hare Krishna mantra. So that means, do you know that mantra?
Oh, yeah, I used to love they used to Hare Krishnas used to walk down, the main street of near where I live, and I used to love it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so fun when you see these Hare Krishna people. Of course, we can think something about it. Generally, they are bold, they're dressed in a certain way, and we have all these images about. But they are so cheerful. And when you look at them, they're always cheerful, and their radiation is like, wow, really, really nice because they are so deep into this divine energy. And that's because they chant this Hare Krishna mantra. And you don't have to wear a dress or get a bold hair. And you can just be Juicy or Daniel or whoever chanting this mantra because it really transformed deep darkness so strongly because it's one of the highest divine frequencies. It's the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's this repeating of this mantra which really transcends this dark stuff in you and really enlightens the heart and the brain. So I advised him to that. And 3 weeks later, I scanned him again. It was totally, improved, much lighter, and he felt so much better. And so it's every time the advice will be totally personalized based on the scan because every scan will be different. Also on the nutrition level, for one person, broccoli might be on top, and for the other person, it might be at bottom, like to be neglected. And then you think, yeah, but broccoli is healthy. Yeah, but maybe not for you. and maybe you're eating something which is not healthy for you, and which makes not the best version of yourself. And so I'm always very careful with general nutritional advice, because everybody is totally different, has a different yin yang balance. Yin yang is actually the earth and heaven energy, which work out and play out in the body. And every nutrition also, besides vitamins, minerals, micronutrients, has a yin yang energy balance. And let's say a carrot has a lot of heaven energy. That's why it materialized from heaven. It grows under the ground. But let's say spinach has a lot of earth energy. The earth energy makes it grow above the ground and only a little bit under the ground. And so everything, every nutrition you take has a certain yin yang balance as well. And this technology not only looks at this micro and macro and micronutrients, but also on this yin yang balance.
I love that. Gosh, I love how you explained it. I remember a while ago when I'd had a big kind of Kundalini awakening, and I ate a strawberry, and I tasted the strawberry. Like, I tasted it it was like tasting it for the first time. It was just the most delicious thing I've ever tasted, and it was almost like I hadn't experienced food before, like the real what it really was, and it was absolutely fascinating. But what I love about your the conscious scan is that it's doable as well. You know, like it's specific for everybody and unique to everybody's needs, but it's doable. It's you know, like it's not like it's going to be a hard thing that you have to you don't have to change your whole entire life. Yeah, it can fit into your life as well. So yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and I also do journeys. So that's what I love the most. That's the conscious scan journeys. For example, one of my favorites is the life scan journey. And there, based on your first scan, we invite you to redesign your life. Let's say Josie 2.0.
Mm.
And so then you really get thinking about 11 domains in your life. What do I want with my relationship, with my love life? What do I want with my, let's say, intellectual life? What do I want with my emotional life, with my character, with my parenting, if you have children or if you want to have children, with your spiritual life, with your let's say, experiences you still want to have. And so you really start to design all these categories. And then every time after 3 weeks, we make a new scan, we put you on your power. And yeah, this is such a lovable process, because everything around us is designed. And the microphone we are talking, the chair we are sitting on, the clothes we wear was first carefully designed, and then it came into materialization. But what people forget generally is that you also can design the most important thing, and that's your life.
Mm.
And of course, you may have karmic imprints or karmic consequences, which might be surprising to you. But what you can influence is, for example, directions in certain fields. And of course, you have to adapt to reality sometimes. Some things will get realized, others won't. But if you don't think about it, then you will live the design of somebody else, your boss, your spouse, your teachers, whoever. And then you get a unique expression of you. And this gives so much energy. And especially, for example, when you do have a partner, of course, you involve your partner, because the relationship is part of it. And when you have children, your parenting is part of it. And the experiences you want to have is part of it. And so you can also engage your spouse in it on certain domains. For example, not on the intellectual domain, because that's up to you. If you want to learn Spanish or whatever, yeah, that's your expression. So this is a life scan journey where we guide our clients in 5 sessions of 1 hour. And there's also an e-learning attached to it, where you redesign your life. Another one is the mental scan journey. That's what I do for elite sports. And that you learn like 6 mental tools, like goal setting, like visualization, thought training, focus and attention control, action reflection. And actually, every time we scan again into the brain, the nervous system, the kidneys, the stomach, whatever is in disbalance. And then we look at the disempowering beliefs, which are still there, and which you can transform with thought training. Like transform a thought from I can to yes, I can on certain dimensions. So that's what I also love to do to strengthen the mental shield around people and the mental resilience. And then the vitality scan journey is people who want to, for people who really want to boost their vitality to the next level so that they have more energy and well-being in their lives.
Mm. I love that. Yeah, the 2.0 version.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I was actually seeing when you were saying that, I was actually seeing basically what it's not like you're adding things. You're actually taking off the layers of distortion and the belief systems, the limitations, the lack, the survival consciousness. And you were actually I was seeing it was actually you were going back to the original divine blueprint of the soul. That's what you are creating by that 2.0 version of people. So, yeah, that's super exciting to me because we've lived in this reality for so long where we think we don't realize how incredible we truly are, and we don't. We're tired. We're stuck in the loops and the hamster wheels, and it doesn't need to be like that anymore. We have the tools, we have the skills, we have the power, we have the inner wisdom, but sometimes, yeah, we just need a bit of extra support and knowing of where to start. So, yeah, all of those things just, yeah, sound amazing of what you are doing for people. So, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. And you sometimes really need to allow yourself some time to step back.
Yeah.
It's in the East, they say when you're in a hurry, you have to sit. And what they mean is that you have to reflect, hey, why am I in a hurry? What gives me this constant pressure? And why? Is it still fitting me? Do I have to change maybe little things or big things? Can either be. What do I have to tweak? And so then that's what you're designing in life. You step back and you look at things and you reflect and you redirect and you redesign so you can step into the next adventure. And it is an adventure. Life is an adventure. People say to me, "Hey, Daniel, how the heck can you move from the Netherlands to Spain with 7 children? And then how the heck can you move from Spain to the Philippines with 7 children?" Well, because life is an adventure. And being stuck in every day, going to the same supermarket in your safe environment, in the same street, talking to the same neighbor, and to the same cinema, and it is nothing wrong with that. But life could be much more adventurous. Yes, you can experience much, other cultures, other things, and it's for our children. It's so enriching, and they if they would have like only one, my oldest daughter is the only one which a little bit difficulty, but every time she's the one afterwards said, "Well, this was the best move I've ever did in my life." Of course, you can have resistance in front of it, but it enriches you as well. So I would want to invite your listeners and your viewers to look life from an adventurous point, and that's exactly what we do as souls. We are here not to be punished or whatever. We are here for an adventure, and experience are part of that adventure. And you can be the director of your adventure. In the end, even things you might have done in the past, yes, you have to take responsibility for that. You can call it karma. You have to deal with that. But the things you are sending out now for the future can be new healthy choices with new healthy consequences for the future. So you can always reinvent yourself and do positive karmic imprints. And yeah, so that's how I love to see life.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I think it just yeah, it's so helpful, honestly. I think it's great because, yeah, so many people have just had so much going on that the energy levels, sometimes they don't want to go on an adventure because they're so overwhelmed. And so that's why I really like, the conscious scan, because if we can tweak get our energy levels right and release some of those belief systems, get our body feeling good with the, nutritious foods, and just create that 2.0 version of ourselves, then it's just so much more freeing, and we can step into the adventure that we deserve. It's all about, like you said, the experience, it's expansion, it's evolution, it's excitement. So we need to bring that back, because we're kind of, I don't know, like my guides always tell me, just tell everyone to have more fun.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
Just
yeah.
have
Love that.
fun.
Yeah, wow, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that so much, and that's what I also see sometimes in the scan, that people have gone into this fear is a big thing. I see it so much, and I think also the financial fear, and that's also a part of the matrix. I see so much. The more you see it in the scan, the more you see that's part of the design of the whole matrix. And I think making this conscious, that we are in this mortgage, rent prison, prices go up, everything, which gives pressure on the people. And financial fear is our basic, it's a first chakra. So I'm also always very passionate about it, because I also had my financial troubles. When you have a father of 7 children, and like 3 years ago, I was really in high stress. How can I pay the bills? And then even surrender more. Like, okay, only thing I can do is my best. And then something comes on your path again, and it widens you again. And sometimes you need also to make rational decisions. Part of what we are going to the Philippines here from the Netherlands is that it's 50% cheaper here. So our bills are now 50% cheaper. And it's English speaking. It's a beautiful climate, the most gentle people I've ever met here. It's amazing, but you need sometimes to take a step, to transition yourself into a new reality which fits you better. Also, in this case, for example, financially, because I do have the responsibility for 9 people. My wife works very hard in the house, with the 7 children, because she doesn't have the time to work outside because there are 7 children. I think it's the heaviest job ever. Being a house mother is the most underestimated job ever. It's not paid. Unfortunately, it should be in the end. Of course, indirectly it does. But I have so much admiration for all the mothers which raise children, even if they also work to with that, like I think you also do. That's an amazing performance. That's really amazing, and I think it's good to realize that. At the same time, when you see, you also have to be rational. When there is, for example, a financial challenge, okay, in your design of your life, how can we fit that better, so that we flow a little bit better? And for example, here is beautiful. I'm on a very beautiful gym here. There's the you have beautiful malls here. So sometimes we don't know. We think we are in the best environment. The Netherlands, it's a rich country and everything's good, but it's a very high stress country, and it's a very expensive country. And so everything gets more and more and more expensive. People just can't afford. Like 3 million people in the Netherlands can't pay their bills anymore, and that's by design. And because in the Matrix, I think you know about it. This is my personal opinion. There are creatures which feed themselves with these lower frequencies of fear and guilt and shame. It's their nutrition. So it's what they call the lush. So if you design this matrix in such a way that you produce a lot of this stress, then these, if you call it reptilians or other astral beings, it's up to everybody. And you don't have to believe me, find out for yourself. If you think it's total bullshit what Daniel's talking about, totally fine. But it's something what I have experienced with my study. And I think we have to raise the frequency, so that when your frequency gets higher, they cannot feed off your feelings of fear and guilt and shame anymore. And then we can transition to a new frequency on the earth. And yes, I think it's important to mention these things because for most people, and it can be a little bit frightening at the beginning, that possible there are other frequencies with other beings. Like, for example, if you believe reptilians are real, they appear in another dimension, like in an astral dimension on another frequency, just out of the visible spectrum, which will not say again if that they are not there. And so I think the whole realization that there is some kind of design in this world which doesn't fit us, and we are here to redesign it, be very powerful, be very rebellious about it, also fearless about it. Okay, then they think this guy is bullshitting about reptilians. I don't care. Because if you don't mention it, you cannot make people conscious of it. Because otherwise, they can dive into the topic and they can just Google reptilians or go to Rumble or whatever and have a look about this. Yeah, what's it with these reptilians? Is it bullshit or do they exist or not? And then you find out for yourself. So I think all the rebels now should play their role and also be not afraid of these kind of things because this is also raising consciousness.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I love how you have an overview as well, from doing so many conscious scans, you've got an overview of kind of what's going on of that.
Yeah.
Like I always just call it the false matrix, because sometimes if you look in the quantum realms, there are matrices, you know, ev so many things are a matrix, but I call it the false matrix, where it's, like you're saying, it's the fear, feeding off the loosh, the fear.
Yeah.
And we don't really like that's not really ideally what I want is to create fear and then feed these lower energies. So I feel like it's definitely our time to rise and shine. And sometimes, yeah, that you do need to get out of your comfort zone. Like, you've taken 7 kids to the Philippines. I mean, that's definitely stepping out of your comfort zone, trying something new and realigning. And yeah, I love that. It's really powerful. Sometimes I think, that fear-based energy does stop people from stepping into something new. And of course, it's like you were saying that the financial a burden as well that you can see within the matrix system that stops people from getting out of their comfort zone. They're already completely uncomfortable though, so they might as well try something new. But I feel like there's a huge shift happening. Like you were saying, the frequencies, there are new frequencies that I can feel. There's these ancient light codes that are filled with abundance and wellness, like all of these activations that are right here. And also the codes that are within, like you were saying, the Hare Krishnas, so many mantras, so many old ancient techniques that have always been here, that we can utilize and just reactivate the high frequencies within us again. But we all have that divine spark, and I feel like it's really starting to ignite now. But I see some people are still torn between the old world and the new world. It's like you're talking about your passion, living your dreams, but then people are scared because they have to pay the bills. So it's that tug of war that everybody's kind of having at the moment. But I think where it's like we've stepped I know, we've just leveled up. We've definitely leveled up, and it's all happening. So I'm excited, to be honest with you. I'm excited because I'm seeing so many people with their expanded awareness now that, even talking about reptilians or something like that, people would just whatever. Whereas now everyone's understanding these concepts and understanding what is happening around us. So yeah, I find it exciting.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that when you grow in your frequency, in your
Mm.
love, in your compassion, and then you can even have compassion with, if you assume these reptilians are here, because you can have compassion with these beings. How sad if you need the fear of another being or the guilt or shame of another being for your low frequency field, and that you need power to control masses. Power is such a low frequency. When you have to operate from power, let's say that you have the desire to have power over another being, which is a sovereign being. What the heck is that? That's a sociopathic kind of distortion. It's really sociopathic or psychopathic, and so you can have compassion with it, which is not to say that you will find it okay. It's absolutely not okay, but you can find compassion with it, because they do it out of kind of a need, maybe for survival of their own breed or something. But to make it conscious, why not operate together? Say, hey, how can we help you that you don't feed off of us? And maybe we can do different things and we can raise consciousness all together, because in the end, they also want to grow. How it's very uncomfortable to live in a constant state of fear of being discovered, for example. Eh? Let's say you are a reptilian and you're afraid of these kind of discussions, that you're being discovered, that you are controlling humanity, for example. It's their biggest fear. Then you're constantly living in fear. That's really a low frequency. Living in fear is what I see so much again in the scan. For example, in the pancreas, I see it a lot. Fear of the future. Like you have these constant stress hormones like adrenaline, and then you have to make glucose to run for this tiger, let's say, this invisible tiger. And then the pancreas has to produce insulin to get the glucose into the cells. You get this stress triangle. That's why I see a lot nowadays in pancreas of people. Fear of the future, financial fear. And so by making this conscious, by these kind of conversations, and by the way, you're doing a great job with your channel, that you make people conscious. This is unbelievably worthwhile. I think consciousness is the new capital, and maybe it's not yet financial, but it is. It's unbelievable what kind of good karma you're creating with it. It's undescribable. Um, so if we have compassion with these beings, in the end, send them high energy, love energy, which is very difficult because they really destroy the planet. But forgiving is what I know the Champions League of spirituality. It's one of the hardest thing in the spiritual world is forgiveness. But it's something which can work so strong. I've seen it in the scan with so many times. I saw a man which his liver was totally black in the scan with which are minimum values of 5 or 6. High entropy, high stress, red above blue, lots of energy. And from the traditional Chinese medicine, that means a lot of suppressed anger. Like in the traditional Chinese medicine, certain organs disbalance certain organs. Like sadness and grief disbalance the lungs, sorrow the stomach, fear the kidneys, and the pancreas, especially also sorrow, but the liver and the gallbladder, for example, anger issues. And so I was also saw the psycho-emotional pattern, and I said, yeah, I had a narcissistic mother. And she really, really treated me well. So bad. And I'm so angry with her. I'm so angry with her. He couldn't, when he said it, it was like the steam was almost getting out of his head and couldn't see his liver, but maybe there. So then I said, okay, I'm going to do a Champions League. A Champions League is the highest soccer league in Europe. And so it's a high performing league for high performance. So I said, I'm going to challenge you with a Champions League challenge. I want you to forgive your mother. And I gave him a forgiveness exercise, which works quite well, and which was from a Dutch writer, Willem Glaudemans, and I picked it up in a book of him, and I thought, wow, and I tried it for myself, and wow, this works so nice. But you can use ChatGPT or whatever, make a nice forgiveness exercise for me, and you will get a nice. So he did that with very much resistance in the beginning, because his anger was so big. But then he said, okay, I want to do this because forgiveness, you do it for yourself. It's so that you get rid of the load. And it's not about forgetting. It's about getting rid of the rubbish in your system by every day bringing energy to it and making this liver, in this case, more out of balance. So we start to do it and forgive it. And it was very hard for him. But then, and then 3 weeks later, I scanned him again, and his liver looked like a sunny beach. It was balanced, it was nice, and he was shining. His eyes were shining, and he was so bright. And again, Daniel, I did forgive this,
Oh,
he said. I said, I can see it in your scan. And that's so nice about making things visible. He did the work, but the scan only shows then. Of course, we can also do interventions from the scanner. We can make frequencies on level. We can do smart balancing on distance. We can make audio files. And we just said we have a bioregulation module from Professor Karyayev, which works on a DNA level to balance. But in the end, the client has to do the main work of changing nutrition, changing lifestyle, changing psycho-emotional patterns. So it was just so nice to see that how forgiveness can work very, very deep. They also done scientific research with monks who were like meditators for 20 years. And then they learned this forgiveness exercise and they were measuring the brain waves. And it was amazing. The change of brainwaves in 1 week of forgiveness was almost the same as in 20 years of meditation. And they were all so grateful, these monks. Like, oh, we wished we knew this before. And that forgiveness is so strong. So if there is something to forgive, I want to invite you to do so.
yeah, I love that you brought that up because we're only harming ourselves, aren't we? And yeah, I think I'm all about compassion. It's not that you're condoning what people or individuals have done. It's just about the kind of unconditional love. And like you were talking about the reptilians, I mean, they're in the survival consciousness as well, like we are. And
Mm,
I do tune into their consciousness, and I have spoken to higher reptilians that have evolved, and they're
mm.
actually trying to help us right now.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
They don't agree with what a lot of the low, quote unquote, lower reptilians are doing. But it just means that everybody does have the opportunity to evolve. And like you said, eventually it would be, hopefully it'd be nice if we could work together. And, but at the moment we're all kind of still feeding off each other.
Yeah.
It's a fun little game that we're playing. But I think, yeah, I think it's so beneficial just, it's to let go of, what we've been holding on to, and stop blaming others as well, and start taking responsibility for our thoughts, our feelings, our words, our actions, because we've been kind of taught to blame everybody else as well. And it's not that, like, everyone's been through a lot, so we've got to give ourselves compassion. And like I said before, we're not condoning, but it's just not worth holding on to that lower energy, those low frequencies. It's just draining, and we can feel it. Everybody's tired, and it's because we're
Yeah.
holding on to the old. We're holding
Yeah.
it. Like I keep seeing all these, it's like holding all these big bricks, holding up a brick wall all day long, having that heaviness. And you're actually seeing it with your scans. You're seeing the
Yeah.
liver go
Yeah. Yeah.
dark. I mean,
Yeah.
that's crazy. That's what we're doing to ourselves and
Yes.
blaming
Yeah.
others. Um,
Yes.
so I think, I just find, like you said, compassion. Compassion is so valuable. Compassion is the key. And I did do a practitioner's course on, about giving yourself compassion, and it just seems to release all of that, the old belief systems and the old kind of traumas that people have. I remember trying to, my friend, she was annoyed at somebody, and I said to her, if you're annoyed at that person, you're just going to make yourself sick. And I said, just send some unconditional love or some compassion to that person, because they might have been stressed out that day, or something went wrong in their life. She was like, no way, I'm not going to send them any unconditional love or compassion. And I said, well, maybe just start like baby steps, maybe just shoot them with some love bullets or something like
Yeah.
Just keep practicing. And like I keep saying, you don't have to condone it. But I find when you send compassion and unconditional love, it actually like heals you as well. It gives you like there's this beautiful energy that comes in. Yeah.
Oh, so absolutely. I love the heart coherence
Mm.
breathing. And that's when you go to the heart and when you breathe slowly and steadily through the heart. And that balances your autonomic nervous system. And we might even do it for 1 minute
Yeah.
if you would like for the
Yes,
audience.
please.
Can we
Yeah.
do it? Yeah,
Yeah.
so if
Let's do it.
you put your feet on the floor and place your hands on the heart. And then please, for a moment, close your eyes and feel the warmth of your hands on your heart. And in the East, they call the heart your safe place because the heart is always out of the matrix. It's always peaceful and positive of itself. Stress is made by thoughts in the brain. And electromagnetically, your heart is 5,000 times stronger than your brain. And so by touching your heart, it's you activate even more this electromagnetic field. You get out of your head into the big boss, which is the heart. And so this first step we call heart focus. And now we're going to breathe in a very conscious, intelligent way. So I want to invite all viewers and listeners to breathe in as if you breathe in through the hands and the heart and charge yourself with fresh energy. 5 seconds in, and then as you're breathing out through the heart and the hands, release all negative energy and stress. And keep that rhythm. 5 seconds as if you're breathing into the heart and the hands, and 5 seconds as if you're breathing out to the heart and the hands. In such a way that it feels pleasant, not too much effort, not too less effort. So this is your seat of compassion, of inner safety, of peace. With every out breath, let go of possible negativity, stress, everything you cannot influence at this moment, which is almost everything. And when we would measure your heart, it would be a very coherent rhythm now, and going from stress to flow. And the next step, I want to invite you all to activate a positive feeling where you want a little bit more of now. It could be like gratitude, it could be power, it could be patience, it could be enthusiasm. And let's say safeness. And just breathe in the word safe. And when you breathe out, you relax into the word safety. Because in the heart, you are always safe. It's your inner core. Nobody can touch it. It's totally 100% sovereign and it always stays. It's untouchable. No other being, no one, nothing else can touch your heart in its deepest level. So this is exactly also the escape from the matrix. It's always from the head, which is manipulated, to the heart. Really feel this gentle breathing with this positive feeling to your heart and really distribute this positive feeling to every cell in your body. And now with the out breath, send this positive energy to your room where you're sitting in now. So with every out breath, you breathe the positive energy into your room. And now you breathe it to your village. Your entire village will be engulfed with positive light energy and love energy. Total compassionate energy for all the beings in your village and all the buildings and the trees and everything. And now bring that positive energy to your entire county where you're living. or island or district. And breathe that district in when you breathe into your heart. And when you breathe out, send this positive love energy. And we call this the love bomb. And now send this positive energy to your entire country with all the creatures in it. And finally, breathe in the whole earth through your heart. When you breathe out, send this positive light energy to the entire planet, total high frequency energy. With all the good beings, possible bad beings, doesn't matter. We transcend everything with this compassionate energy. And finally, breathe in the whole universe with all galaxies. And when you breathe out, send out this infinite positive love energy, which sends out to all corners in the whole universe. Okay, now we will finish the exercise. You can put your hands off your heart. And if these hands are still there, just keep breathing for minutes through the heart. And now open the eyes. Yes, and just keep the heart focused breathing so that you also learn to do it in surroundings where people are, for example, at the dentist or in a train or in a meeting, and that you really get your heart into this high coherent rhythm. If I would measure the heart rate now, we would see a very coherent rhythm, which really is one of the strongest things to replenish yourself and recover with energy.
Ooh, that was beautiful. Thank you so much. I actually feel a lot clearer. Like even my vision feels clearer after that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, that's so good because it
Yeah.
really synchronizes the brain. That's when you are stressed in a negative emotion. It's all knowledge from the Heart Math Institute, which from the US. There's a neuroscientist, neurocardiologist who have done 20 years of research to the heart and the brain. So when you're experiencing a negative feeling like guilt, for example, or shame, it's a very incoherent heart rhythm. The sympathetic and parasympathetic branches of the autonomic nervous system fight each other. As when you are experiencing a positive feeling, they get in total balance. And then the blood pressure flow gets in balance into the whole body. And you get in this very quick recovery state. It's actually going from stress to flow. And that's why this is the preferred stress regulation techniques for elite sports and for CEOs. And because it's the most evidence-based stress regulation technique. If you do this like for 2 to 3 months, on average, based on statistically validated questionnaires, your stress will diminish by 50% on average. And we have done huge studies with Unilever, Philips, all big corporations, and we trained thousands of people with this technique. And then we also make it visible with heart coherence biofeedback technology. And then you see, we do a baseline measurement, you see a lot of red, and then we learn the technique, and then you see a lot of green. So it's a very fast shifting technique, and which of course can also help with raising the frequency in yourself, but also in the planet.
It really excites me, honestly, that this is going out all around the world because when you think of those, like even the big corporations that you've been working in, they're going to show their families. They can go home and show their kids these techniques and just be more aware as well of aware of our bodies, aware of our thoughts, aware of our energy, instead of just grinding and being on that hamster wheel, just being awakened to how we're feeling. It's like you'd think it would be
Yeah,
so simple.
yeah, and also like change in these big corporations generally also comes from the employees. And so, for example, I've done a lecture within Unilever, and it was, I think they didn't like it because what I said there, and I didn't care at that moment. I said, "You are Unilever. You're one of the biggest nutrition companies in the world, and to be honest, you take out so much trash." That's literally what I said. And you lower frequencies of people, you can do better. And they didn't like it. They didn't like it because they were all silent in the room. But I thought, this is my chance. I'm in the lion's hole now, and I'm exactly going to say that because that's what my soul wants to say here. And I didn't make myself popular. I was not invited back, but I'm so glad I said it. Because I knew they made some changes later. And there were, because there are people who are, they have good intention within these big corporations. They want the best for humanity. And they think, yeah, this guy is right. Our soup has all these E numbers and additives and shit. And it can make people sick if you eat all this processed food. So we should come up with a healthy alternative, for example. So maybe the changes are slowly, but yeah. And so these people, when you learn to get more back into the heart, they also can feel what their products might do to the planet, and then they might have a fight within their company with their leaders to change it because they want to change it for the best. And so I think gradually we are shifting into higher frequencies. Absolutely. And like what you were saying, you can learn meditation in companies now. It was unbelievable. 20 years ago, it was unthinkable to do this. And now I do it in all big corporations. I bring laptops. I put 12 laptops. I do a baseline measurement. I do the heart focused breathing and learn all these techniques, and they love it. So it's really promising that things are changing, and they are changing fast.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. That the coherence, that is so important. And because, yeah, it's very hard to be mean or do something that's a low frequency when you are when you have that coherence. And I think what you're doing is you're planting the seed. Even, even if you didn't see huge change in the company, you planted the seed, and just bit by bit, people will start to awaken and be more aware. And I have seen a lot, especially the younger generation, are not putting up with it anymore. They don't want the crap like we did.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like,
exactly,
no, like, it's
exactly.
almost
Yeah,
like their body is rejecting a lot of the stuff that
yeah,
that we
yeah. I
would
can
even
see
put
that
in.
my son, my
Yeah,
my, my son is on a conscious level where I was maybe when I was 40,
yeah,
and he's 21 now.
yeah.
And so he eats very healthy. He moves a lot, exercise. He's so he doesn't want those crap things, as you were just saying. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, no, it's super exciting, but I suppose it does take a while to kind of weed out the crap, because we have been so used to it. We have a lot of people have been addicted as well to all of this stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, we're addicted. It's not just food we're addicted to. So, and I think that's the survival consciousness as well, where everyone works really hard. But yeah, there's definitely a shift happening because I don't know, because everyone did become pretty tired. So everyone's done now. They're like, I just want to feel good. I really want to feel good. And I think people are realizing that they deserve to feel good. And they're realizing that when they feel good, then everyone around them is a lot happier. Their families are happier, their partners are happier, the
totally.
children are happier. So, it's a whole chain reaction, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah, totally, totally. And nutrition is the hardest thing for people.
yeah.
I see that a lot. So it has the fastest change curve, but it's the hardest to change for people because it's related to emotions, to habits, and so but all our cells are made of this nutrition, also our subtle bodies. So what they say, you are what you eat, in a way, is true. And so when you eat all this processed food, you kind of become processed, if I say black and white. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you eat away from nature, you get a little bit away from nature. And and you make these choices like 3 times a day or maybe 5 times a day. And just to be conscious at that moment and to win the better choice more of the times, that will do it. And I love the 1% rule. So every time 1% better is already enough. 1% better in feeling, in thinking, in breathing, in eating. So it doesn't have to be big steps all the time. Small steps will do the game.
Yeah, I love that because I think some people get too overwhelmed and they think, "I don't even know where to start, so I can't
Exactly,
do all of
exactly.
that." But
Yeah,
1%, that sounds good.
yeah, yeah.
Definitely. Oh, I love this. Honestly, I could talk to you all day. I really could. But,
Same here, same here. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's brilliant. I love it. So, people can go to your website. So I'll put the links to your website below, and you also have Instagram. Do you use Facebook at all or not really?
Also, not so much,
Yeah.
but I can put it in the show notes. And for listeners or viewers who are interested to experience a conscious scan, we do 50% discount with the discount code LilyLeaf.
Ah, thank you. Awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So I
Awesome.
will put it in the show notes. And
Yeah.
also maybe for interested coaches or therapists, and I do a monthly masterclass about the Conscious Scan Coach Certification Program. And because we, as explained, I want to educate coaches so we can contribute to healing the world and well-being. So if there are coaches, therapists, naturopathic doctors, and so on listening, then if you are interested, you can also sign up for the free masterclass about this conscious scan coach certification program. I will put it also the link in the show notes.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh, thank you so much. Honestly, I just have loved this. I've learned so much and I loved we did my scam a few days ago and already I feel the difference for sure. It was fascinating how I just could feel it. I could feel the energy of this
Super.
yeah, mind blowing.
Wow. Nice. Nice. Great.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Well, we'll talk to you soon.
You're very welcome and thank you so much, Josie.